Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down the absolute classics, and today we are on chapter 186.
The title is simply 4.
And let me tell you, this chapter is all about what it means to stand up for your friends. We are about to witness one of the single greatest moments of resolve from our favorite sniper, a moment that defines him for years to come. This isn't just a fight, this is a crucible. This is where the man we call God Usopp starts forging the steel in his spine.
It's a moment born from desperation and a truly chilling piece of news. A moment that asks the question, what is the difference between a coward and a hero? And Usopp is about to give us the answer.
He absolutely is. If you believe a captain's dream is worth fighting for, no matter the odds, then you should probably follow our feed. We're on this journey with the Straw Hats every single week, and you don't want to fall behind. We're going deep on every chapter.
Let's begin.
All right, so we open right where we left off. Usopp has just landed his Usopp Pound, this massive, seemingly 5-ton hammer blow on Miss Merry Christmas, driving her headfirst into Mr. 4. The dust is settling and Usopp is just completely spent on the ground. He put everything into that swing.
You can feel the false hope radiating from the scene. He's lying there, panting, just praying that that was enough, that the cartoonishly large hammer actually had the weight he claimed it did. It's the classic Usopp strategy, the grand bluff.
And for a moment, you're hoping with him. Maybe this time the lie was so powerful it became true. It's such a perfect Usopp moment. He sold the lie so hard, he's starting to believe it himself. But you see Chopper, our little doctor, and he knows. He's looking at the scene with a pragmatist's eye. Mr. 4 is still standing there, completely unfazed, with his partner's head embedded in his gut like some kind of bizarre fashion accessory. And Chopper's internally panicking, thinking he only has a minute and a half left on his rumble ball. The clock is ticking, and their strongest attack just bounced off this guy.
Mr. 4 is such an unsettling presence. He doesn't react with anger or pain. He barely reacts at all. He's just this silent, slow-moving wall of destruction. The fact that the Usopp Pound did nothing isn't just a failure of a physical attack. It's a failure to even register as a threat to this man. That's psychologically devastating.
It is. It's like punching a mountain, and the mountain doesn't even notice. The sheer futility of it is crushing.
So Usopp, realizing the bluff has been called by reality itself, does the most logical thing he can think of. He gets up and starts running for his life.
It's the tactical retreat, the patented Usopp maneuver. He's screaming that they're monsters, that they can't be beaten. And you get it, right? From his perspective, he used his biggest, strongest attack, a 5-ton hammer, and the guy didn't even flinch. At that point, what else is in the playbook? His entire arsenal is built on trickery and ranged attacks, and they're in a close quarters brawl with a human tank.
It's pure survival instinct. We saw this in Syrup Village against Kuro. We saw it in Arlong Park. When the odds seem insurmountable, his first instinct is to create distance and reevaluate, which usually means running away. But as Chopper is yelling for him to not run away, to stand and fight, Miss Merry Christmas proves it's pointless. She burrows underground with her Mogu Mogu no Mi powers, and her hands just shoot out of the dirt and grab Usopp.
It's such a creepy visual. The ground itself becomes your enemy. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. He's completely immobilized. It's a horror movie trope brought to life. There is literally no escape from her. The mole fruit is terrifying in its application here.
And this is where she transitions from a purely physical assault to a psychological one. She knows she has him trapped, so she starts trying to dismantle his will to fight. She says if a captain is weak, her crew must be weak too. She's digging at the very foundation of their crew, their loyalty to Luffy, which she fundamentally misunderstands.
That's such a good point. In Baroque works, everything flows down from the top. Crocodile's strength is absolute, so all the officer agents derive their sense of power and purpose from him. They can't comprehend a crew like the Straw Hats, where the captain's strength actually comes from his faith in his crew, and theirs from their faith in him. It's a symbiotic relationship they just can't grasp.
Exactly. She's applying her own rigid, hierarchical worldview to them, assuming it will break them. She's trying to infect them with her own ideology.
Usopp, even while being dragged and terrified, just asks her, what about Luffy? He's not even defending himself. He needs her to see that their captain isn't weak. It's his first priority, even over his own safety.
And then she drops it. The bomb. The single most devastating piece of information anyone could possibly deliver in that moment. She tells them Mr. Zero already killed Luffy, that the rebellion in Alabasta has already started, that all of their efforts are for nothing.
Bro, that silence that follows, the look on Usopp and Chopper's faces, it's just complete shock. You can feel the moment just hang there like the air got sucked out of the entire country. The sound effects just seem to disappear from the scene. It's heavy.
Because this isn't just a random taunt from a low-level goon. This is Miss Merry Christmas, an officer agent, relaying what she believes to be a factual report from the highest level of her organization. It's delivered with such confidence, such finality. She genuinely believes it. This is the official story from Baroque Works High Command. For all Usopp and Chopper know, it is the undeniable truth.
It's a gut punch. It's the worst thing they could possibly hear. For Usopp, Luffy is this force of nature. He's the guy who shattered Don Krieg's armor, who smashed Arlong into the ground, who beat a giant in Little Garden. The idea that he could just lose to a filthy sand gator, as Usopp puts it, it's not possible. His entire worldview, his entire reason for being on this crazy journey is built on Luffy's strength and his dream.
It attacks the core of his faith. If Luffy can be defeated, then what hope does he have? What hope does any of them have? It's an attempt to induce total despair.
And Usopp's denial is so immediate and so absolute. It's not a calm, no, that's not true. It's a frantic, desperate scream. He just starts screaming at her that Luffy is the man who is going to be the king of the pirates, that he would never lose to someone like Crocodile.
It's a fascinating psychological moment. He isn't trying to convince her. He's trying to convince himself. It's a mantra. He's reaffirming his own faith because the alternative is too terrifying to even consider. He's shouting his belief system into the face of a reality he refuses to accept.
He's basically rebuilding his world in real time, right in front of her. My captain is strong. My captain has a dream. Therefore, you are wrong. The logic is built on faith, not evidence.
But for Miss Merry Christmas, who operates in a world of pure, cynical power dynamics, the idea of Luffy becoming Pirate King is just hilarious. It's a child's fantasy to her. She starts laughing hysterically, a loud, mocking, cruel laugh.
And that's the switch. That's the trigger. The physical threat, the dragging, the news about Luffy, all of that was terrifying and shocking, but the laughter, that's what makes Usopp angry. That is the one thing he will not tolerate.
You don't laugh at his friend's dream.
You just don't. That is the cardinal sin in the world of One Piece. And in that moment, everything changes. All the fear, all the doubt, it gets burned away by this white-hot rage. Usopp yells out to Chopper, and as he does, Miss Merry Christmas just goes full force. She drags him by the legs and uses her Mogu Mogu impact to smash him head first through a brick wall.
And she's coordinating perfectly with her partner, who has been silently waiting this whole time. She tells Mr. Four to get his 4-ton bat ready on the other side. Their teamwork is seamless and utterly brutal.
It is one of the most brutal combination attacks we have seen up to this point in the series. It's called Mogurutsuka Yamban Kosaten, the Molehill Intersection, number 4. What a name! She provides the velocity and the piercing power, driving him through the wall, and Mr. Four is waiting with a full-power baseball swing that connects directly with Usopp's face.
The way the action unfolds here is incredible. You see the buildup, the impact, and then the aftermath. The impact is devastating. It sends him flying backwards, ragdolling through the air, his body limp. There is no way a normal person survives that. A 4-ton bat swung by a man with superhuman strength, connecting with your skull? The physics of that are terminal.
There's no way. A 4-ton bat to the skull. After everything else he's already taken, this should be it. The fight should be over. That's a wrap on Usopp. He's a smear on the ground.
Miss Merry Christmas certainly thinks so. She emerges from the hole in the wall expecting to see a corpse. Instead, she looks on completely shocked because Usopp is still standing.
He is not just standing, he is pushing himself back up, battered, bleeding, skull probably fractured in 10 places, his nose completely broken, and he gets to his feet. He's swaying, he can barely see straight, but his feet are planted on the ground.
It's an unbelievable moment of endurance. It defies all logic. This is where you see characters in this world tap into something beyond mere physical toughness.
It's not about endurance. Not just. It's about will. Pure, unbreakable will. He's being held up by nothing more than his own conviction. And then he says it. He looks at Chopper, who is crying, thinking his friend is done for, and he gives the speech that defines the character of Usopp, the thesis statement for the character of Usopp.
There are times, he says, his voice shaky but firm, a man cannot run from a fight.
That's when his friend's dreams are laughed at.
And that's it. That's the core of his character, laid bare for all to see. He will always be scared. He will always want to run. His knees will always knock together. But he has a line, an absolute uncrossable line, and they just crossed it. Laughing at Luffy's dream is an unforgivable offense. It's worse than hitting him. It's worse than trying to kill him.
He's not fighting to win anymore. He's not fighting for Alabasta or for Vivi. In this moment, he's fighting because he has to. Because standing down, running away now, would mean he agrees with them. It would mean he doesn't believe in Luffy, and that's worse than any physical beating they could ever give him. It is such a profound, powerful, super character moment.
It is. It reframes his entire identity. He's not the liar from Syrup Village anymore, telling tales to protect himself. He's a man who is willing to die for his captain's ambition, for a dream that isn't even his own. He has fully integrated into the ethos of the Straw Hat crew. He has inherited Luffy's will, in a sense.
And you see the shift in Chopper, too. He's been panicked and scared this whole time, but seeing Usopp's raw, bloody-faced resolve, something clicks for him. He understands. This isn't a fight for survival anymore. It's a fight for honor. He pushes the rumble ball he's already taken to a new level, and we see something new.
His horns suddenly grow massive and branch out, becoming these huge, intimidating antlers. He calls it Horn Point.
Another transformation. This rumble ball is nuts. It's not just one extra form, it's a whole set of them. What even are the rules here? I thought we had heavy point, brain point, and arm point was the big one. Now we have this? Is there a limit?
I don't think there are any established rules. It seems to be a drug that warps the very nature of a Zoan fruit's wavelength, allowing for transformations that shouldn't be possible by disrupting the wavelengths of transformation. This horn point seems to be an extreme specialization, focusing all the Zoan's transformative power into his natural weapon, the horns. It's likely specialized for goring, charging, or perhaps even defense.
And Usopp, the master strategist, the man with the plan, sees this new tool and a plan just forms in his mind instantly. He doesn't even question it. He sees new horns. He thinks, I can work with that. He tells Chopper to get behind him and fires a smoke star right at Mr. Four's face.
It's total chaos. Mr. Four is completely blinded, swinging his bat wildly in the smoke. And just as Usopp predicted, Miss Merry Christmas goes for her signature move. She burrows and grabs his legs again, ready to finish him off with the same combo. She's predictable,
but Usopp was ready for it. He was 10 steps ahead. He just slips right out of his shoes, leaving her holding empty boots. The absolute madman. He planned for her to grab him again. He used her own strategy against her. That's big brain time right there.
And then you give the command to Chopper, ensnare her. It's a simple, direct order, born from a plan he has no time to explain. It requires absolute trust.
And Chopper doesn't hesitate for a second. He saw Usopp's resolve, and now he's all in. He lowers his head, catches Miss Merry Christmas on his huge new antlers as she emerges from the ground, and just starts charging, full speed directly at the smoke cloud where Mr. Four is.
Mr. Four, still blind and confused, just hears the charging. He hears the thundering footsteps of Chopper's hooves. He thinks it's Usopp, or maybe Chopper in a different form. He has no idea his own partner is impaled on Chopper's horns, screaming for him to stop.
He winds up the bat, ready to hit the home run that wins the game.
And he connects, a full-force 4-ton swing, right into Miss Merry Christmas.
He just takes out his own partner. Boom! The look on his face when the smoke clears and he sees what he's done is just perfect. It's not anger, it's not sadness, it's just complete baffled horror. This slow, dim-witted guy finally processes the situation and his brain just breaks.
And in that critical moment of confusion and shock, Usopp puts the final piece of his brilliant plan into motion.
It's so brilliant. It's so absurdly, wonderfully Straw Hat. He grabs a rubber band from his pouch, stretches it between the points of his massive new horns, and effectively turns his crewmate into a giant living slingshot. This is peak One Piece creativity.
He loads his own hammer, the fake 5-ton one, now repurposed as a real projectile, as the ammo.
And he lets it fly. He screams out the attack name, Hissatsu Uso-Cho Hammer Suisei. The Usopp Chopper Hammer Comet. It flies through the air, spinning like a meteor, and smacks Mr. Four square in the face.
And that is finally enough. The combination of the emotional shock of hitting his partner and the physical trauma of being hit by a high-velocity hammer is too much. Mr. Four, Lasso, the dog cannon, and Miss Merry Christmas are all down for the count.
Super! That is a super victory. That's how Usopp wins. Not with overwhelming power, not with a magic power-up, but with unbelievable guts, tactical genius, and the absolute trust of his crewmate. He weaponized his own lies. He turned Chopper into a weapon. It's one of the most creative and satisfying takedowns in the whole story.
It's a perfect encapsulation of their fighting style, and a sign of things to come for the weaker members of the crew. Their victories will always rely on misdirection, teamwork, and using the environment, or in this case, their own bodies, in ways the enemy could never predict. They don't win by playing the enemy's game, they win by creating a new one.
And with the battle won, Usopp finally lets go. The will that was holding him upright just evaporates. He just collapses onto the ground, completely spent. The adrenaline is gone, and now it's just the pain of a 4-ton bat to the face.
Chopper, his rumble ball effects wearing off, immediately reverts to his small brain point form and rushes to his side, panicking. He's looking around frantically, yelling if there's a doctor nearby, completely forgetting his own role.
It's so sweet and so funny. The doctor is panicking looking for a doctor. It's this perfect little moment of levity after such an intense, brutal fight. It reminds you that Chopper is still just a kid, really.
And Chopper, barely conscious, his face a swollen mess, just manages to point a shaky finger at Chopper, trying to say, "You're the doctor, you fool." It's a perfect ending to the fight.
It really is. Even at his absolute limit, broken and bleeding, he's still got that humor. He's still Usopp. What a fight. What a chapter for him. This is, for me, his defining moment up to this point, even more than his fights in Syrup Village.
I would agree. This victory feels earned in a way few others do. He was physically and psychologically broken down to his absolute lowest point, and he still found a way to win on his own terms, using his own unique skills.
Exactly. He didn't suddenly get stronger. He didn't eat a devil fruit. He just refused to lose when it mattered most. That's the heart of a true warrior of the sea.
Before we get into predictions, there was a fun little author comment this week.
Lay it on me. I love these little peeks behind the curtain.
He just says he got Hikaru Kamamura's autograph, and that it's a little something they call having connections at Shueisha. Then he says, thank you very much.
Ah, the perks of being a manga legend. Even Oda gets starstruck. Good for him. I wonder if he drew them a little Luffy on the autograph. You know he did.
All right, so let's assess the situation. They've won the battle against Mr. Four's group, but they're both in terrible shape, and more importantly, they are still operating under the assumption that Luffy might be dead, and that the rebellion has begun.
The stakes are still high sky, and the clock is ticking on the rebellion. All right, let's get into our own Usopp-level brilliant theories about where this is all going. You go first, Robin. Predictions for Chapter 187.
My first prediction is that we will finally see what happened to Luffy. Miss Merry Christmas's report was secondhand, likely filtered through Crocodile's typical arrogance. I believe the next chapter will open by showing us Luffy at the bottom of that sandpit, possibly being discovered by a very unexpected party. I don't think he's dead, of course, but I think we'll see exactly how he survived being impaled and buried alive in the desert. Perhaps the water he was carrying broke and solidified the sand around him, creating an air pocket?
Ooh, I like that. The water saving him from the sand. That's some good poetic justice. And an unexpected party, eh? I'm intrigued. Okay, I like that. We need that confirmation. We, the audience, need to breathe the same sigh of relief the crew eventually will. For my first one, I'm saying we cut to Sanji. We haven't seen him in a bit. He was heading for Rain Dinners, Crocodile's casino and base of operations. I think we'll see him finally arrive and start his infiltration. We'll get the grand return of Mr. Prince, and he'll be scoping out the situation, trying to figure out where Crocodile is holding the rest of the crew captive. It's time for the spy part of the mission to kick in.
Change of scenery to a different plot thread. That makes a lot of sense. The story enjoys balancing the different storylines. For my second prediction, I think we will see the rebellion reach its boiling point. We were told by Miss Merry Christmas that it has already started. I think we'll get a wide shot of the two armies, the rebels led by Koza and the royal army commanded by Chaka, arrayed against each other outside the gates of Alubarna Palace. The battle is about to begin, and Vivi will be caught right in the middle, desperately trying to get them to listen to her to stop the bloodshed before it starts.
The tension will be at its absolute peak.
Oh, the tension. That's a good one. You're probably right. We need to see the ticking clock that everyone is fighting against. Okay, for my second prediction, I'm focusing back on our victorious boys, Usopp and Chopper. Chopper's Rumble Ball is going to wear off completely, and we know that leaves him basically powerless and unable to move for a time. So he's going to be useless, and Usopp is already half dead. They can't go anywhere. I predict they're going to be found, but not by an enemy. I think one of the Kung Fu Dugongs they befriended earlier is going to find them. They need a ride, and they need it badly. And what's a better ride in the desert than a tough-as-nails, martial arts proficient sea mammal?
Bringing back a previous element like that would be a great callback. I could see that. They need a fast way to get to Alubarna, and their own 2 feet aren't going to cut it. A very sound theory.
We'll have to see who's right next week. This has been an incredible chapter to break down. The true heart of a sniper. Join us next time as we continue our journey through the Alabasta saga. Until then, keep your friends' dreams safe.
And don't laugh at them.
You heard her. This has been Inherited Dawn. We're out. Super.